Today I'm going to be visiting with you about everyone's favorite project, and that's an oral presentation. In our lesson that we're going to be looking at today, I'm going to be going over 10 different topics here to kind of help you as you develop a presentation and things that you need to kind of try and remember as you are actually presenting. And possibly things that are going to help you just to relax and have the best presentation possible. First of all, we're going to define what your presentation's objectives are. Secondly, we're going to select the form of oral delivery that's best suited for your project. Next, we're going to talk about focusing on just a few main points in your presentation. Also talk about using simple structure and how to help your listeners. We're going to talk about the conversational style that you're going to use. We're going to talk about looking at your audience, how to make a contact with your audience and help pull them into your presentation. We're going to talk about some things as you actually present about preparing to be interrupted or preparing for questions. Also how to integrate graphics and how that can help you in your presentation. Also talk about rehearsal. And then lastly, everybody's going to be nervous, and we're going to try to talk about how to relax and just present the information that you have. Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about is your presentation's objectives, or defining your presentation's objectives. When you're creating your presentation, the first thing you want to do is you want to think about your listeners, and you want to think about the goal that you have for your listeners. Okay, what do you want them to leave with? Think about what your listeners expect. What are they expecting to hear from you? What are they expecting to get from you? Why are they there? And why are you there? And third, you want to assess your audience. What size is the audience are you going to have? Are you going to be in a large auditorium with several hundred people? Are you going to be in a smaller setting, maybe in a committee, maybe presenting within your small group or your company? Or are you just presenting a one-on-one, or you and a couple other people? How are you presenting? Think about the location of your talk. Are you going to be in an auditorium? Are you going to have a podium? Are you going to be sitting at a desk or at a table? And what kind of equipment are you going to need? Are you going to need a projector? Are you going to need a computer? All of these things are things you want to think about as you're preparing your presentation, and think about what are going to be available to you when you actually make your presentation. Okay, as we start talking about creating your presentation, we're going to talk first of all about selecting the form of oral delivery that best suits your purpose and your audience. And when we talk about oral delivery, we're talking about how your presentation is prepared for you when you're going to actually give it. Okay, is it going to be a scripted talk? An example of a scripted talk, the easiest one I can think of, is when the president gives his State of the Union address, and he's up there in front of, the citizens of the United States, the House of Representatives, the Senate, and he has the two prompters on either side of him, and he's reading through the script, basically. I'm sure there are times that he goes off of that, but for the most part, it's written out word for word what he's going to say. He has writers who write it for him. Or are you going to give an outline talk? Okay, an outline talk is something that you have a general idea of some points that you want to cover, but when you get to that point, you might present it in a different way. You might present it in a different way each time you give your presentation, and that's fine. So you need to discuss or think about, is it going to be an outlined, is it going to be scripted, or third, is it going to be impromptu? And impromptu is you have nothing in front of you. You have it all in your head and in your mind of what you want to say, what you want to deliver, and you're really feeding off of the audience that's there. Typically, this is going to be used in a one-on-one or a one-on-two, maybe in another committee or type of setting like that, where you're going to feed off of what they ask. Okay, you're wanting them to ask questions so that you can feed off of that and know what information they're wanting from you. Okay, next we're going to talk about focusing on a few main points. People can read longer than they can listen. Okay, a person's attention span is about 20 minutes long, and the reason that television shows are made for 20 minutes, the sitcoms and things like that that come on, is because that's the length of a person's attention span. After that, you start losing them. And they also break them up with commercials to make them 30 minutes, but that's why those TV shows are created in the length that they're created, to keep your attention. Okay, you want to avoid pausing in a talk or presentation. Um, Typically this happens when you have a scripted presentation and you pause because you lose your spot and you have to read down to where you are, or you take your eyes off the script. You want to avoid that. And also the last thing is, when you're focusing on these points, you don't want to go back and reread. You don't have that opportunity. Okay? You're going to assume that everyone that you're presenting to can read. And you want to present it in a way other than what they can get if you just gave them a script and handed it out to everybody. Okay, our fourth point is we're talking about use a simple structure and help your listeners follow your structure that you set up for your presentation. The first thing you're always going to have is an introduction. You're going to introduce what you're speaking about, and introduce it in an outline even format, and say, in the rest of my talk I will be discussing these points, and people can kind of follow along. Okay, he's talked about that one. Okay, he's talked about that one. Okay, he's talked about that one. And signal transitions. Now we're going to be talking about, or use a graphic. Change the graphic if you have that capability, or if you have that option available to you. Use graphics. Okay, highlight your main points. You can either pause, or you can change the pace of your talk. So you slow it down. You can use your voice to help people transition to the next topic that you're going to be discussing, and then move about. Okay, move from one side of the stage to the other, or from the middle to one side. Okay, move about, letting them know that you're kind of moving through your presentation as well. All right, the fifth point is use a conversational style. You want the person out there, and the best presenters do this the best of anybody. They're able to captivate their audience and bring them into their presentation. And they have that feeling of, they're talking to me, or I can relate to that, and they connect one-on-one. Whether there's 100 people there or whether there's 5 people there, they're still creating that connection between their audience. Okay, use you or your in the first sentence to let them know, I'm speaking to you. And as an individual, you're hearing that, okay, he's speaking to me. Use personal pronouns throughout. Use shorter and simpler sentences than when you write. Okay, again, we don't want it to look like we're reading a book. Everybody can read. And choose your vocabulary carefully. Use gestures and emotion. Use your voice, like I said earlier, to help create emphasis, or create a sense of caring about who you're speaking to. Okay, number 6, look at your audience. Look at them before you start speaking. Don't just get up there and put the paper down in front of you and bury your head in your outline or in your script. Okay, have a plan. Have a looking plan. Okay. You're going to look from one side to the other side and make contact maybe with the back and the front. If you're in a office, you're going to make contact with the person at the head of the table, to the right of you, to the left of you. Look at their foreheads and noses. Okay, you don't have to stare straight at their eyes. You don't want to look at their their mouth, excuse me. Don't want to look at their hands. You want to look at you want them to make contact and feel like you're making contact with them in their eyes. Okay, and avoid skimming. I also call this the tennis match. Okay, don't have the tennis match where you're just skimming back and forth. And if you've ever seen a tennis match, or if you've ever been to one, you sit in about center court, your head's constantly moving back and forth from one side of the court to the other. That's not a good practice when you're presenting. You want to make contact with each person, each side, each section. Okay, number 7, prepare for interruptions and questions. Again, if you're in a large setting, typically you're probably not going to have someone stand up and ask you a question in the middle of your presentation. However, if you're in an office meeting or you're in a committee meeting, you're meeting with your boss, you're presenting something to him or her, uh, be prepared for them to ask you questions. Don't let it throw you off. Don't let it throw you off your outline. Think about even before. We take questions throughout. Or you might even specify at the beginning, I'll answer any questions you guys have at the end. And just let them know up front what you're expecting and how you plan on conducting the presentation yourself. Okay, number 8, fully integrate graphics. Okay, graphics are great when you're presenting when you have a presentation and an oral presentation, because no matter how good looking you are, people can only look at you for so long. Okay, their attention is they're going to be distracted in some way. Okay, distract them with a graphic. Have them have something for them to visualize. It's always easier. You can try to, as good a speaker as you can be, it's hard sometimes to paint a picture in a person's head of what you're wanting to get across. So if you could have some kind of graphic to represent what you're discussing, it helps reinforce what you're saying. It holds your listener's attention. And also, it can help you remember what to say. As you rehearse with these graphics and you see them, it helps you move through your presentation and know, this is what I want to say here. These are the important points that I want them to come away with, and relate them to the graphic. Okay, number 9, rehearse. Rehearse in front of other people. Another thing I could have included in here is rehearse in front of a mirror. What are the people seeing when you're presenting? Okay, we can't see ourselves. We can have this picture in our head of what we think we look like. But present in front of a mirror so you can get an idea of what they're seeing. Okay, pay attention to mentioning the key points. You're presenting for a reason. What are the points? And again, it goes back to the very beginning. What goals do you have for this presentation? What do you want them to leave with? Okay, rehearse. If you have graphics, rehearse with your graphics. Again, they're good reminders of what you want to say, and they're also good ways of moving from one topic to the other. And then time your rehearsal. Okay, if you are given 10 minutes, you don't want to take 20. All right? And also, if you're expected to give a 5-minute presentation, you don't want it to be a minute and a half. So time your rehearsal so you know how long you're actually presenting. Okay? Last thing, accept and work with your nervousness. Nervousness is it's going to happen. You're going to be nervous, and when you present in front of people, the more you do it, the more at ease you can become. But some of the things you can do, no matter how often you speak in front of people or how much you do it, is you want to arrive early. Okay, arriving early, it helps you relax. When you're relaxed, you think better, your mind works better. It goes into our next point, relax before you talk. Consciously relax. Have confidence in what you're doing. Have confidence in yourself. The next thing, speak with an audience. Speak with the audience personally before the presentation begins. Again, that would go back to the first point in this slide, is arriving early, so you can do that, make a connection even before you start talking, and you can kind of get a feel of what type of audience you have if you're not familiar with them. The next thing, remember that your listeners are there to learn from you. Okay, I also coach, so I sometimes relate this to a pitcher in a baseball game. The pitcher is in control of the game. Nothing can happen until the pitcher throws the ball, and he doesn't have to do it until he's ready. The same thing when you're giving a presentation. You're in control. You're in control of the audience. You're in control of the situation. You're in control of the room. Take control of that, and remember that no matter who is there to hear you or listen to you, they are there to listen to you. Okay, and the last thing is pause before you begin. Pause. Have a good positive thought in your head as you begin. Take a deep breath, relax, and have confidence in that you're prepared to present. Okay, so through our lesson today, hopefully you've maybe picked up some points that'll help you as you prepare your oral presentation. And whether it's for something you're doing here at school or something you're doing at work, some of these tips that I've given you or some of these little tricks that I've given you, I promise they help. Just the eye contact and relax and having confidence in what you're doing, they will help. And your confidence will be displayed and people will read that and feel like you know what you're doing.